Hey, this is Kevin from Appland. I'm here with another demo of AppMap. This time we're going to look at code navigation, incremental testing, and code behavior diff. Using AppMap frees up more of your mental energy to write good, clean code, and it helps your team deliver the best quality software. Let's see how it works. We're here inside of Solidus looking at a dependency map. This has been recorded from a test, which is a common way to create an AppMap. In this demo, we'll focus on working with tests. The dependency map includes web services, code, external libraries, and SQL. And you can drill down into any element, drop into the trace view, see this query or this function call in context. View source will always take you over to the source code of that element. Let's talk about test cases for a minute. Solidus has about 5,000 test cases, and running these test cases in CI takes over an hour. As developers are working, they're making changes that can affect test cases, and ideally you'd be able to run the tests as you work to see what's breaking. But when it takes an hour or more to run the tests, you're going to wait until you reach a milestone, um, start that test run, go get lunch, something like that, push it up to Travis or Jenkins, and you get out of your flow. And if there's a test failure, you have to restart your task and load up the context again and figure out how you're going to fix that test. So what if there was a way to just run the tests that are most likely affected by code changes as you code? You would need a way to determine the test cases that are most likely affected by your code changes. And unfortunately, static analysis is not powerful enough to deal with this in the most important case, which is the longest running functional or integration tests. But app maps contain an inventory in the class map of all the code that was utilized by each test. And a standard source diff in Git will indicate what changes have been made in the code. So what we can do is take the diffs of the code as you work. As you make changes, you can see that here in the diff. We can take those changes and we can pass them in to app maps. And I've set up a rake task here, which is called rspec incremental. rspec incremental is going to look at the changes in the code and it's going to correlate those to the app maps and it's going to figure out which test cases need to run. You can see it figured out. I've changed users controller.rb. Because of the dependency check, I need to run users controller spec, and it's going to go ahead and run those tests for me. As it does that, it's regenerating the app maps, and over here they're getting reprocessed and reindexed so that Appland can then update its database, a local database, showing which test cases have actually changed compared to the baseline. A developer can then select one of those changes and step through the modifications that have been made. In this case, we removed the set roles function, which has a special label on it, RBAC roles update. And you can see that that function is no longer being called. The developer can see immediately what has been changed. So this has also caused a test failure. Instead of the user being assigned one role as expected, they're assigned two roles. So this was not a good change. I maybe thought that I was removing a redundant role assignment, but it looks like I need to roll this back. So I'll make that change. I'll run my rspec incremental command again, and we'll go through the same process. The incremental rake task will feed the changes as well as the failed tests back through rspec. You can see the test being rerun and the index being re-updated. The change list is recomputed, and when it's finished, I'm back to my starting state. and I can try some other approach to my test. So this is going to be the new efficient way to interactively and continually code and test. When I push my tests, um, when I feel done up to the CI server, I have a good chance that everything's going to go through. My change will be mergeable, and I'll be able to move on to the next task. If there's a problem I can't figure out, I can share this data. I can share my app maps. I can share the diff with a colleague. They can work through the problem with me. And again, we get it right in dev before it starts going through heavyweight processes. And um, we certainly want to fix problems once they've already landed in prod. So this is my tool for making sure that I can do that much more effectively.